right now we're looking at the basic by description report, which is showing you one row per description of tournament type. For you guys, honestly, just looking at by tournament is probably going to be okay. That will give you one row per individual tournament. You're not going to have so much data that it's going to be hard to group things together, and most of your tournaments are relatively similar. If you choose advanced rather than basic, all it does is give you more stats. So you might want to spend some time, looking at what these numbers mean in basic before you flip to advanced. And it's also important to know, so you can change any report key from this drop-down, and I'll talk about what the different ones are in a little bit. But the overview report has one really cool feature that is not obvious, and that's you can double-click to get more details. So if you want to know more about these 392 tournaments, because those are the ones you're going to start playing tomorrow, and those are the ones that are really interesting, then you double-click, and now you see each one of those 392 tournaments, one tournament per row. And you get to see how much you won in that tournament, how long it was, finish position, all kinds of stuff. And it does say here on the side, double-click a row for more details. And you can go back by choosing back by description or choosing remove all filters and return to filters. Now, if that's not enough, you can then double-click the individual tournament, and it will show you the hands, one hand at a time. So you're going to get a row for each hand as the tournament went through. It will show you most recent 100 by default. If the tournament ran more than 100, you can feel free to change that. We just have that set so that it doesn't choke too hard if you have like a 1,500 hand tournament or something. You can also sort by clicking any of the column headers, just like any other reporting software. So you've got one row from row per line here. You can also right-click, which has a lot of useful features. It has so it's the context menu, and you can use that to add or remove statistics from your report. So when you get into like your VPIP and your PFR and those kinds of things, you might want to add or remove a bunch of different custom stats. So you can do that with configure report here. But you can also replay. This is how you replay hands. If you want to export videos and put them on YouTube directly, you can just right-click, choose export video, put it on YouTube, post YouTube video on Facebook, and everyone can see your awesome play, which is always fun. And if you want to look at multiples at a time, you can use Control and Shift click. So Control click will highlight one extra individual, and Shift click will highlight a range. So if you click here, you hold Shift, you click here, it'll highlight everything in between. And then you could say replay hand. You could also say replay all hands in report, and it will load everything up in the replayer. This would be the way if you wanted to replay an entire tournament. You had such a great tournament, you really want to watch it again right now. You can just replay all hands in report, and presto, you can just click play and sit back, and the whole tournament will play through. So another report on the statistics side that I wanted to highlight for you is summary. And the reason summary is interesting and useful is that summary allows you to do different kinds of grouping. In particular for you, I think starting hands hold'em, as shown here on the right, and position will be your most useful ones. So what happens in starting hand hold'em here, you have one row per hand type. So you can see here, we had aces 131 times. This is how many big blinds we won, adjusted for luck, for all in equity. The VPIP is 100%. Congratulations. If you did not know it, you will almost certainly voluntarily put money in the pot 100% of the time when you get dealt aces. If this number is not 100% of the time, I recommend going back and rethinking your decision process, because aces is the best hand in Texas Hold'em for certain, and nobody will say anything else on that. But you can see different rows for all the different hand types, and that is going to be the best way to see, if you feel like, I'm playing some of these suited connectors a little, maybe it's too much, maybe I'm not sure. Am I playing Jack-10 suited too much? Am I playing King-Queen offsuit too much? If you're not sure, come here and you can start looking at the hands, because whatever row you have here, the hands from that row will display in the bottom. And it works just like the other hand report. You can replay them, you can double-click for more information on one. They're all right here. And position groups, I don't have a image of it, but it groups one row for position. And when I say position, I mean if you're in the big blind, if you're in the small blind, if you're on the buttons. So if you feel like someone is beating up on my big blind, man, I sit there and every time I get my blinds raised and I have to fold and I hate it, can I play back? Or am I doing it right and it just feels wrong to me? Because sometimes your memory of the situation isn't really the truth. you can come in and load up the position report, and you'll be able to see exactly what's happening. Another really awesome report is the Hold'em Hand Range Visualizer. This is in statistics as well. And it looks like a lot, but it's not actually as crazy as it looks. So first off, over here we have various different statistics. So when you choose a statistic, you're getting information based on your values in this spot. So let me talk about what 3-betting is. 3-betting means someone has made a first raise, that's the 2-bet, and then you made the second raise, and we're talking about pre-flop only right now. So you made the 3-bet. So someone raised, and you re-raised. That's all we know about these hands right now. But we're looking at only those spots right now in this report. And you can look at all kinds of different spots. And this little wrench here lets you configure it. If you want to put different stats here, you can do that too. So right now we're looking at range. So here it says range and value. So when I say range, I mean these are the hands that you have actually done this with. And the percentages, these numbers here are percentages. And each one tells you what percentage of all of the hands that I have made a 3-bet with does this comprise. So let's look at pocket 10. This player made a re-raise with pocket 10. Of hands he made a re-raise, 2.244% of those he had pocket 10. So you can think about this as, if I made this re-raise and someone else was against me, what could they expect to see? Well, almost 4% of the time they'd expect to see ace queen off suit. 4.28% of the time they'd expect to see ace king. 2.5% of the time aces. So this is what your actual range looks like. And in poker we use range kind of as the term for, if you think of the domain as all hole cards, right? So those are all hole cards you could be playing. Your heuristics, your mental processes at playing poker is the function that takes a hand from the domain and puts it in the range. So this is your range. Now you can change this from range to value, and this is where it gets cool. This is the percentage that this player made a 3-bet, given that he had a chance to with each of these hands. And so you're going to notice something very different right away. We have a whole lot of 100s here. This player has made a 3-bet 100% with ace-king suited, ace-queen suited, ace-jack suited, ace-10, and ace-9 suited. Every time he had those hands,